What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Evergreen Motovlogs channel. We're here today at Indian Motorcycle of Auburn, and I just got done riding the Indian Scout Rogue. Super fun bike, check that video out. But now I'm going to be switching on over and checking out the Indian Chief, and I believe it's the Chief Bobber that they have here today. Stick on around because this is going to be a good one. All right.
The one thing, just going back and forth between these.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot heavier.
Okay.
Than what you're used to. Means they ain't going to stop as easy as you're used to.
Yep.
You're on air-cooled motor now. Probably a bit more torque down low. These things carry fine mid and top end power, but it will definitely be a different feel than this. A little bit more rattle to them too. Not as smooth. The Scout's really smooth delivering.
Yeah, I noticed that. I was really surprised at how smooth the Scout was.
Yeah, I mean, it's got the power, but it's usable too.
Yeah, it was also nice to actually be able to use first gear. All right, going from the Scout Rogue to the Chief Bobber. First look at the Chief Bobber. I mean, I was actually pretty stoked he brought this one out. I like the red. The red is pretty sweet. Looks pretty nice though. Pretty nice. This Chief Bobber looks pretty awesome. It's a big bike for sure, but I like the aesthetics of it definitely. I actually like the chrome. So it's the same instrument cluster as the Scout. Just sit on it and get a good feel for it. Toss a leg over. Interesting. Yeah, oh, yeah, that gets hot. Yeah, it feels good. Feels big and heavy.
Just remember, you're on a bigger bike when you come to stop.
Okay, yep. Get used to those brakes. Yeah, the throttle feels weird. I think there's that difference between throttle by wire versus not. I feel like it's still relatively smooth. I mean, maybe that's just an Indian trait. Kind of coming out of the gate here. Definitely torquier. Yeah, no, even though it's a lot more torque, it's super smooth. It's really smooth. And the stance is pretty good. It's interesting. So I don't feel, just kind of doing a real-time comparison here between this and the Scout Rogue. The Scout Rogue just feels so planted. It feels so low into the ground, and it feels like all the weight's in front of you. Whereas this, the Indian Chief, feels a little bit higher up. It feels like you're sitting a little bit higher up, so the center of gravity is you're a little bit more on top of the center of gravity as opposed to behind the center of gravity, if that makes sense. I don't know. I'm trying to kind of just give my real thoughts here. So if you're new to the channel, thank you so much for stopping on by. This is the Indian Chief Bobber test ride video. But yeah, consider hitting the subscribe button. I've got tons of motorcycle content both on the channel and headed your way. So smash the notification bell for future uploads and or live streams. Let me know down in the comments if you want to see other test rides like this one. Back to this video, the throttle just feels really interesting. It's a lot less responsive feeling. It kind of feels like I'm twisting it and then getting power at first. So there's like a lot of play early on, but then as I get going, it feels a lot more responsive. So it's interesting. It's like at first you have a little bit of that wiggle, and then as you get on it, you know, you can kind of just pick it up. So it feels nice. Honestly, I don't feel a huge difference in terms of power. I think both are relatively close in power. This kind of has a little bit more of that cruiser rumble. I'm not hitting neutral as easily or accidentally as I was on the Scout. It's got that cruiser rumble that everyone's used to, obviously being an air-cooled engine. And I can feel the heat too. I mean, he had it on for a very short amount of time before I sat on it, and I instantly could feel that it was a warmer bike. But it's nice. Honestly, I actually kind of like the bar position. I was a little worried it was going to be too far forward or uncomfortable, but the bars on this one are actually feeling pretty good. They're a little bit closer to each other too, I feel like, than the Scout. They remind me a little bit more of how I'm used to the Rebel, where my arms are a little bit closer to each other. It's interesting. It really is. Yeah, the center of gravity, I feel like maybe 70% of the weight of the bike is in front of me, whereas on the Rogue, I really felt like 90% of the weight was in front of me. It's a very interesting comparison between the two. This one I just feel like it's kind of, you can kind of just plant and go. It's feeling good, dude. It's putting a smile on my face for sure. This is definitely a nice bike. I had to kind of get up there and go. He just kind of went for it. But it can. Yeah, no, she eats the pavement. Again, 50 miles an hour. Low end to third gear for sure. So definitely heavier bike. It's a definitely thicker front tire. So I feel like moving it around, you have to give it a little bit more of a push with your arms. A lot more leaning, but you know, it feels nice. It definitely does feel nice. You can kind of just see the difference there. Kind of set a course where you're going, and that's where the bike's going. And then when you want to get on it, you get on it. This bike really just feels like I'm just going to kind of kick back and cruise, and then when I need to, open it up. I don't feel like I need to be as worried about the lean angle because the bike is just so big and heavy that you're not going to be really flicking it around in the twisties as much anyway. Not to say that you can't, but that's just kind of what I'm thinking. I feel like the controls are a little bit closer than the Indian Scout too. They're still forward controls, but I think they're a little bit closer. This is nice. This is really nice. I'm actually really impressed. First off, it's incredibly smooth. So when I'm in the lower gears, just kind of rolling around, super smooth feeling. It's not jerky at all. I think the Rebel 1100 was a little bit more jerky in first gear. It feels really smooth, and then when you get on it, yeah, it feels like it's got plenty of power. But it's interesting because I almost felt like I was getting a little bit more of that push delivery from the Scout Rogue. Yeah, this bike is awesome. The Chief is freaking sweet. It's a huge bike. It feels really comfortable. This is the Indian Chief Bobber 2023. I think it's a lot of fun. I mean, I'm smiling on it. I definitely think I'm liking the Rogue a little bit more. I think if this was the Chief that had some of the other features to it, the redesigned instrument cluster and all that kind of stuff, that might be, you know, pushing me a little bit more in its direction. Obviously, it's got cruise control. That's huge. I wish the Rogue had cruise control. Anytime you're on a motorcycle and it puts a huge smile on your face, you know you're having a good time. Shifting super easy, no issues there. The rider triangle feels pretty comfortable. Like I said, I actually was pretty surprised at how comfortable the bars felt. I was worried it was going to just feel a little bit too in front of me, and I don't think that's the case. I definitely could see myself owning this motorcycle. I think it's super sweet. I personally feel like this color, this red, actually is really speaking to me. I think it's a good looking red that Indian went with on the Chief for sure. Brakes feel pretty nice. Don't want to have too much fun on it, right? It took me a second to figure out the shifting on the Rogue, but I feel like the shifting here, you know, the downshifting is relatively smooth. It's just this throttle, I think it's an electronic throttle. It's gotta be, because I don't see another cable. And I guess maybe that's just, this is my first experience with an electronic throttle, and that's why it feels weird. I don't know for sure. I should have looked it up before I got on this bike, but I didn't get a chance to, and it feels different. I don't know. I'm definitely getting power, and it's definitely responsive, but it's just kind of a different feeling. I don't know. I think I obviously would get used to it, but it's kind of a weird feeling. But no, it's a sweet bike. This is a sweet cruiser. I feel more like I'm sitting down and just cruising. The Rogue, I felt like I could get on that bike and just zip around, you know. I could really hit the twisty super hard and go really quick. This bike, while it's really quick and low end torque, you're going to be shifting a lot sooner, and so your power on the higher end is probably going to run out a little bit more quickly. Something to definitely keep in mind. But otherwise, I mean, I feel super comfortable on this bike. The other thing to consider too is the price, right? This one, I looked at the price before I left the dealership, is sitting at like $19,000, which is literally $10,000 more than my Rebel. Holy crap. Not sure that's in the budget. Definitely not in the budget today. I could see myself owning it, but I'm not totally sure it's the next bike for me. I'm not sure if I want to get an air-cooled motorcycle. That's a huge factor. I like to try to do as much riding in the summer as I possibly can. and you're already trying to stay as cool as possible, and so then having a motor that's just super hot blowing on you might be a little bit of a problem. But I know a lot of people do ride air-cooled motorcycles in the summer and in even warmer climates than where I live here in the Pacific Northwest, so it's not a huge problem. Ooh, I like when I went under that tunnel, the gauge was glowing. I like the light on that. That's pretty sweet. All right, let's see how she does in the turn. Yeah, I feel like, okay, so with the Scout on the turns, I feel like I can kind of just lean. It reminds me a lot more of my Rebel, even though it has a little bit of a smaller tire than my Rebel. Whereas this, I feel like I'm kind of rolling the tire around. You know, I'm in charge of directing where the tire goes by my arms, as opposed to, you know, my arms and my body kind of having an input. Like, you definitely have a little bit of an input in your body, but the amount of like lean I'm putting on it right now, my Rebel or the Rogue even would be going all over the place. Whereas this, I'm really having to push my arms a little bit more. So that's definitely something to consider between the differences. But overall, having an awesome time on this bike, having a ton of fun. Super grateful of Indian Motorcycles of Auburn for letting me take this out and do a test ride here. Really appreciate them taking me out. Final thoughts, I mean, yeah, the Indian Chief is a sweet motorcycle. I definitely think I would have a ton of fun riding this thing. Everything that you've heard about it is true. It's an awesome cruiser. It stays planted. It just kind of goes. It's got plenty of power behind it. And the bars are a lot more comfortable. That was the biggest thing I was worried about, and I am not concerned at all. I could sit on this bike and go. So yeah, sweet motorcycle for sure. There we go, man.
What's your take?
Dude, it's sweet. Let's see here. It's right there.
It's different.
It's a lot different. I was really surprised. I was expecting the bars to feel a little bit too far forward, but they actually feel almost perfect. I think, cause like, does it have like a little bit of a riser on there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like essentially the bobber. You're paying for the wheel and bars.
Yeah, exactly. So it, you know, it felt really great. It felt it's kind of weird with the Rogue. Felt like I was a little bit more planted, and like there was a lot more kind of weight in front of me, whereas this, I felt it reminded me a little bit more of kind of sitting up and on some of the other cruisers I've been on. So yeah, no, it felt awesome. It was really great.
Which one would you rather get?
Oh, I mean, they're both awesome.
They're both definitely different.
Yeah, there's a lot of differences.
Today's a good day for you to not get too toasty. But
yeah, for sure.
There will be something like on those like summer days and stuff to think about.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, air-cooled is, I got two buddies that have air-cooled bikes, and they're like, in the super hot summer, they don't want to come out and ride or anything. They're like, it's too hot to be out or whatever. Yeah, I mean, I'm probably leaning towards the Rogue a little bit.
For how much smaller it feeling of a bike, it really isn't lacking that much. The motor's still super there.
Yeah. Oh, I felt like I could get so much out of that motor. I mean, I was just scratching the surface, honestly.
You're not even hitting highway or anything, too. So
yeah.
Something to think about.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it was awesome. They were both a lot of fun.
If you wanted to keep it slim and like bar hopper size, I mean, a Chief can do that too. Only reason I'd recommend going to the Chief is if you really want to do a lot of two-up.
Okay.
More often, just because the chassis is bigger, it's friendlier to it. You can still do that on a Scout too.
I'm gonna go ahead and hop back on the Rebel 500 to give my final thoughts. All right, and we are back on the Rebel 500. I know it's kind of a weird transition from the dealership back here. I went and did my Scout test ride and Chief test ride on the same day. So I just got done doing my final thoughts on the Indian Scout Rogue. Go ahead and check out that video. It is linked on up right here. The rest of this video going to be talking about the Chief, my thoughts on it, and if I liked it. So yeah, the Indian Chief. Well, I wasn't too sure which one I was going to end up riding today. I didn't know which one the dealer had. Ended up going with the Chief Bobber, which is the smaller motor, and honestly, I felt like it still had a ton of power. I really had a lot of fun on that motorcycle. It was a air-cooled engine. I have experience with a few air-cooled motorcycles, and they are different from the liquid-cooled ones. Obviously, one of the big differences being that you have to shift a little bit sooner. You don't have as many RPMs on the higher end. But man, that was a fun bike. I honestly was not sure how I was going to feel about it when I got on it, and let me tell you, I really enjoyed riding it. I felt like it was super comfortable. It felt a little bit more familiar to the Rebel than the Scout did. Obviously, they're both very, very different motorcycles, but it felt a little bit more like the Rebel because I feel like the center of gravity was just a little higher up. And so it was kind of interesting sitting on the Chief and riding that because it felt a little more familiar, you know? It didn't feel like everything was so planted and so low, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but just kind of some of the differences I'm trying to think of off the top of my head. Obviously, with it being air-cooled, it's a little bit of a different experience. On those super hot summer days, you may want to be giving your engine a little bit more brakes throughout the day, and you as a rider are going to be a lot hotter too. But it was really interesting. I'm gonna go home and look up a little bit more on the throttle. I just really felt like it was just different, you know, this throttle by wire. You know, it felt like I'm turning something and then the engine is going, whereas this, I mean, when I give it gas, I feel like I'm directly telling the engine to go faster. To put it into layman's terms. Yeah, just a little bit of a different feeling, but it felt great. The bike was obviously heavier. The tire was a lot larger, so I'm not sure how I would feel about the Indian Chief on the twisties. I definitely think it would do fine. It would do a good job, and it would be a blast to take that thing up into the mountains and really open it up. But you definitely weren't able to throw it around as much as the Rebel or as much as the Scout. It's kind of interesting how alike the Rebel and the Scout were in that aspect, and the maneuverability and everything with that smaller front tire. And when I say smaller, I don't mean smaller in diameter, I mean smaller in thickness. So it's not as thick of a front tire. The Chief, I feel like would be really great for getting on it and just hopping on a long ride and just going. And I felt like it was a super comfortable motorcycle, great cruiser, and yeah, I totally had a lot of fun on that. So it felt a little bit larger. Center of gravity felt different for sure, even though it was the smaller motor. Didn't feel like it was lacking in any way. So I guess that's about all I have to say about it. I mean, super good experience. I don't think I'll be going with this motorcycle though as my next jump. I mean, I really enjoyed the Rebel 1100 and I really enjoyed the Indian Scout Rogue. Those are definitely two bikes that I would probably put higher up on the list than the Indian Chief. And part of that is because of the price point. You know, the Indian Chief, after shipping, delivery fees, all that kind of stuff that the dealer tax on, I was looking at like $19,000 for the Chief bobber, whereas the Indian Scout was looking at more like $15,000, and then the Rebel 1100 is even less than that. This is kind of interesting. It's definitely more money, and I feel like in terms of power, the way the Chief compared to the Scout was about the same. And I'll flash up the numbers on the screen here, but I believe they're pretty much close. Obviously the Chief is it's a bigger motor, so you're gonna have more torque, but when I open things up on the Scout and you have those extra RPMs, you know, they felt very identical to me. That's the other thing with the Chief that I was actually really pleasantly surprised, was just how smooth the power delivery was again. I feel like Indian's really got something figured out with that. I've definitely ridden motorcycles, both air-cooled and liquid-cooled, that when you twist the throttle or you're in those like lower speeds, it kind of jerks you around a little bit. I mean, the Rebel 1100 in first gear is a little bit more jerky, you know. The Indians, I felt like they really just didn't have those same issues, so that's interesting. Definitely something to think about for sure. But leave a comment down below, let me know what your thoughts are on the Indian Chief. Great motorcycle. If I like snap my fingers and was riding one tomorrow, I would be super happy riding it. So no complaints or frustrations or issues there. Like I said, I liked almost every aspect of the bike. It felt comfortable. The controls were a little bit closer to you, still forward. The bars felt really comfortable and in a great place. The power was good. Moving it around just wasn't the same, but it really wasn't horrible. I still could move it around, as you could tell in my video, and I kind of mentioned that a little bit. So all that good stuff. But yeah, let me know down in the comments what your thoughts are, and if you'd like to see one on the channel. But I'm gonna go ahead and cut things off there. Thank you so much for joining me on this test ride video. Let me know down in the comments if you want to see other test ride videos like this one. I kind of just try to convey what the bike is speaking to me and, you know, share my first impressions, my initial thoughts, all that kind of stuff, and how the bike is making me feel. But thank you so much for stopping on by. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And this is the Evergreen Motovlogs channel, reminding y'all to ride safe out there, mind your surroundings, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace!